Take 100. What up, everybody? This is Shereen Simon from blackprint.com, and we are recording another episode of Voices and Vibes. And I am here with the ladies that I have met at the podcast summit. And today we are talking about being vulnerable in your business, something that is quite uncomfortable. Look, I'm already antsy with my hands. But first, let's go around the table and meet these beautiful ladies. Forward vibrations, I have you at my right, at the right of me. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. Hi, my name is Jovonnie, CEO, visionary of Forward Vibrations, podcast, Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives. I am here live, full in effect. My goal and my mission is to help women suffering from health issues like endometriosis and PCOS heal through food. So I'm really, really, really excited about being here with you today. Voices and Vibes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jovonnie. And Cynthia, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Cynthia, the owner, CEO, and host of Sports Cynts, the podcast. And my goal is to get to the heart and soul of sports by exploring your passion behind your connection to sports. And I'm excited to be here with Voices and Vibes and Vibrations. These ladies are awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, for the intro. So we are getting to know each other. We've started getting to know each other months ago in the chat. And because of that, we do talk about almost not anything, but we're pretty open in the chat about things that are happening in our business and things that we want. And we started talking about, I think there was a call last week, but somebody threw in the chat, they're so happy for the chat and that they can say things. And then vulnerability came up. And I said, let's jump on a call and talk about being vulnerable in your business, because for me, I personally feel like it kind of holds me back. I'm a little bit of afraid to be myself fully out there and share even things that I want to share. So what's your take on being vulnerable in your business? Anybody feel free to jump on in.
Well, I feel like when you first say vulnerability, it automatically makes me think about your childhood and how your childhood allows you to just really embrace all of you. So if you kind of grew up where people were just so willing and open to just embrace you, whether flaws and anything, it's just kind of like you had that courage to kind of just be wide open and transparent and show up as your authentic self every single day. But I feel like because I didn't experience that, and because I kind of was a people pleaser growing up, you wanted to, make your parents proud. You want to make your grandparents proud. Like, you don't just represent yourself when you go out to school, you represent your whole family. So it was kind of like this hesitation of having this validation, wanting to get approval to do the things that you wanted to do. And then as you get older, like here we are now on this stage. And it wasn't until I became an ambassador with the podcast summit with you all that it was like, wow, now I have to actually connect with my inner self. I have to actually know who I am and be comfortable with letting that person come out in the open and be public and help other people. And I think when you think about vulnerability, it takes inner work before it can come out to be outer work in order to really be purposeful. So I just feel like when you think of vulnerability, you think of how comfortable are you being you? And then once you realize that comfort, how comfortable are you now speaking up and saying your truth and allowing other people to connect with you on a more authentic basis?
Yeah, you touched a couple of points there. Like for me, I was a badass kid, or I'm not a badass kid. I was bad. I don't care. But I had a lot of fun. So I didn't really grow up in a strict environment where I couldn't be myself. I got a lot of licks for it, but that didn't stop me. That didn't stop me. But
and that's okay.
You were that kid.
Right? But you did touch on, like, I think maybe people pleasing as you get a little bit older and being afraid of I'm not afraid of being my authentic self, but then why do I care so much about maybe what the feedback will be? Cynthia, what do you think about what do you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think, and basically going with what Jovonnie said and what you said, is growing up, my parents were both college graduates, and they pushed that, education, 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 which was great. I went through high school. I was a A student in high school, graduated near the top of my class, went to college, was one of those people that, parents, oh yeah, she's gonna be great, smart, and all this. I started out majoring in computer science, and before I started college, I changed to communications because what I always said, and I remember saying this in the first one of the first meetings we had with this group called University Awareness at the college I went to, was that I wanted to commentate the NBA Finals alongside Brent Musburger. Now I'm dating myself because this was like in 1986.
That's so
And
cool.
it's one of those things how they tell you, so look at the person on your right, look at the person on your left. One of you three aren't going to be here to graduate. And my thought was, well, that's not going to be me because I want to do this. Um, my parents did not approve of my major. Oh, my dad was like, because I grew up in an era where parents like, you work for 30 years, you go to school, you graduate, you get a job with this country. I mean, for this company, you work for 30 years, you retire with a pension and your retirement and all this. So they wanted me to go on that track. Me, because of the creative person that I am, and being my parents' only child, I, was always the creative person. I was in band, I was a mascot, things like that. Um, that just didn't sit with me. So I kept going to college. I kept changing my major. I changed it to business. My dad was happy. I changed it to education. They were fine. But I didn't like either one of those things. So I went through, I'm going to say, because I don't mind telling people my age, I'm 56. I went through the first, I'll say, 46 years of my life trying to live up to what my parents
Mhm.
wanted me to do. So I kept going, trying to go back to school to finish. But when I decided to finally go back, I was like, well, I'm going to major what I want to major in. I'm going to major in communications. I'm good. I I took my last college class last year before I decided, why am I doing this? You
Yeah.
know, it's not what I want to do. I've always wanted to talk about sports. So
Hmm.
I've always wanted to, you know, that's what I want to do. I didn't want to do business. I didn't want to major in business. I didn't want to sit in somebody's office, even though coincidentally that's what I've been doing for the past 30 years to, make a living. But I didn't want to be, that be my retirement. So I had to get past what my parents expected of me. And even to a point to where my family, I mean, my whole family was like that. You go to school, you get a job, you work 30 years, you retire.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, out of all the kids in my family, there's only one, and I'm talking about cousins, there's only one who that's what he's doing. And even he and I talk, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm going to do this, but I'm doing this and this and this and this. The rest of us are like, we're going to end up doing our own thing. And that's what's happened. And it's funny because you look at my family, they're like, well, make sure you talk to your kid about going to school and finish school. My son, he had this plan, he was going to go to school. And then he's like, that's not me. Oh my goodness, the backlash I got from him to decide not to go that way. So I think part of it is
And
being vulnerable.
that's not something to overlook either, Cynthia. Like
Right.
my great aunt, not my great aunt, my auntie does the same thing to my mom about my brothers, like
Yeah.
holding them accountable for adults when they have make their own decision. It's like, what can I
Right.
do about that? Like they're a whole adult and you're still holding me accountable for what
Right.
my child did. That's a grown person and it's
Exactly.
their
Yeah.
decision. It's like you can tell that, and I guess Shereen, to kind of go back to your question, you can tell that vulnerability kind of it stems from like what me
Yeah.
and Cindy said, from that childhood, how you were
Yeah.
grown up. Do you get to that opportunity to kind of love on yourself and
Right.
understand what vulnerability really is? Or is it just this mindset of validation and people pleasing? That's the
Right.
cycle of, you know, the family that you're in order to uphold the standards that they want you to uphold instead of being that individual. Unlike you didn't get to have to do that because you were
And
just that rebel.
my mom still doesn't know that I'm doing planning to do a podcast. She knows that she knows, that I work, during the day. And to her, that's fine. But she also knows that my son's 31, he's a bartender. Oh, and every time she go, well, is he working? What does his job have insurances? I'm like, he is a whole 31-year-old.
Not a
Yeah.
whole 31.
Please let him live.
Let him go.
live his.
And so, but yeah, that vulnerability to be able to just decide, you know what, I've got to do this for me. Because if I keep living for you, I'm not really living. I'm not happy. So,
yeah. But I love how you
going.
came full circle though, Cynthia, because you said it from the get, like, I want to be in communications. And then you did what everybody else wants you to do.
Yeah.
And then you got here and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And it's legit what you said from the beginning. So you're ending how you started, where you really want to be. And you're about to like speak your truth because you already knew you. So Jovonnie's point about knowing yourself, you already knew you. So here's my next question, because you both spoke about people pleasing, but we also spoke about kind of like, it's not just people pleasing, it's people pleasing our family. So why are we so attached to what our family expects from us? Just because they lived that certain life that was passed down to them, and now it's being passed down to us. And then even they're asking, Jovonnie about, or even Cynthia about the other kids. Like, he's 31. Why do I need to say what he wants to do? Let him live his. If I'm not inflicting it as the parent, why does the grandparents need to? Why are we so attached to what our family want? What is that? Like, to me, there's some healing that needs to happen there.
I think a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is because our parents, and I can speak for my parents again because my dad's passed, my mom's in her 80s, but they grew up in an era where there were so many things denied them that they couldn't do. They couldn't go to the regular public school, especially in the case of my parents, schools were still segregated. So now when they see that it's available and how much more is out there, they want us to do this. And I couldn't do this. I want you to do this. I couldn't go to the public university. I had to go to, the HBCU, the historically Black college and university. So, but you're able to do this, and there's so much opportunity there. I want you to do that. And I don't want to say it's a guilt thing, but how they always say, your parents always say, I want your life. I want you to be able to experience the things I wasn't
able to.
And so I think it comes in, and then we start to get but my mom wasn't able to do this. Wow, she would really like to. Well, let me do this for her because she's not able to do this. So I think that might be a little of it.
No, I think you're right. Go ahead, Jovonnie. You want to say something?
For me, I think it's more so when it comes to family, and like you said, it is on healing. I think it's the conditioning. And the reason why I say I think it's the conditioning of the family is that there are these seeds or these environments that you're in where when you feel like you want to make a different decision, it's this, I don't want to say manipulation, but this guilt trip. Like, I've done this for you. You should be able to do this for me. Does that make sense? So
yes,
it's that conditioning. So once you start feeling like, okay, I'm in high school now, or I'm about to go to college, and you really feel froggy when you're going to college because now you are by yourself. Like, they can't hear you make the decisions that you want to make. But it's just kind of like when you do that, it's just like, I've done all this for you, and this is what you want to go and do. Or, it's the conditioning for me. So I understand where Cynthia's coming from. But I think when it comes to family, it's the conditioning that you got throughout your childhood that shapes how you make those decisions and how much you come into yourself, and how either slowly or how fast you blossom into who you want to be when you have I don't know, this might be a PG-13. When you have
not on this platform, honey. Not on this platform.
It's cool when you have no cares to give. I'll keep it
no
when you have no
you
cares to give, and it's just like you said, I'm a whole 36-year-old now,
right?
So you don't necessarily come with that approach. You just make that decision and you stand on it, and you just kind of keep moving. But it's like she said, it was 40 years for her. You know, it was into my 30s or late 20s. Like when I started locking my hair, I was like, I'm locking into me. I don't care. And I had pushback in my family about my locks because, like she said, back in the day, having your hair look a certain way, you got judged.
Start your morning with a delicious, gentle, natural cleanse. Encourage movement, release gas, and remove toxins as you revive your body for the day. Looking to release water weight and kickstart a healthier journey? Try botanically blended Gentle Ease Digestive Tea. Shop now on blackprint.com.
Called you names. So it's like, why would you bring that to yourself to be subjected to other people saying things about you just because of how you wear your hair, you know? So I'm gonna just go with it's conditioning as a child that shapes how you make your decisions as you get older.
No, I think you're hitting it. I know it comes from it comes from a good place. The intention is a good place, right? For our parents. And Cynthia, you hit it. They want better for us. It is conditioning, even though they want better for us. So there's a part of letting go and allowing us to make our own decisions. That's for us. I have big kids. I have like a 23-year-old and a 19-year-old. And for my daughter, she's my firstborn. She would say like, let her make her own mistakes. Now, my parents, my mom died very, very young. So I didn't grow up in that traditional household. And plus, okay, I said I was a badass kid. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to be a little vulnerable.
Speak your truth, baby. Speak your truth.
So I was a runaway child. I was a child that took all her stuff and threw it out the window. And I was like, I'm out this bitch. And so
sound like some of my students.
For all those watching, here's the people pleasing. For all those watching. But no, it was like, whatever that was. The story will be in a book. But anyhow, so I didn't have that. I ran away at 16 or 17. So I didn't grow up with that. It's not that I didn't grow up with structure because I had it. And then I left. And so I've always been free flowing. But then I had my daughter fairly young, right? Probably because I was a runaway child. And we struggled a lot. We've argued a lot, but we're like this. We're close. But then, you go through that parent-child growing up thing where I have to start listening so that she can be what she needs to be, right? Yeah. And it's not really me projecting my stuff on her, but it's maybe me projecting and conditioning maybe things that I've learned. And I would say what we say in the Caribbean is like my brought up see, right? Like how we were brought up. But then let's flip this to the business aspect, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's this, it's recognizing it, but then how, pray tell, how do we let go of that shit? Because some of it is like, the first thing they say is like, being aware of whatever your shit is, but like, how do you move forward so you're not doing it, or even you're doing it less, that progression. So what's your thoughts on that? I should really put something stronger than water in this.
It's funny you say that because I'll say over the past year is when I've discovered how, I don't want to say popular, but how prominent entrepreneurship is, because I didn't grow up learning this stuff.
Right.
And now I'm learning it from people who are young enough to be my kid. And I feel like the kid, especially talking, listening to Dave and Donnie and, EYL. I didn't become exposed to all this till last year. Right. So I started listening to more, I won't say more, podcasts. No. Yeah, podcasts, but also when certain people do lives. And I've even discovered that, a lot of business entrepreneurs say, do it, figure it out as you go. But there's still a lot that are in the traditional business says, well, no. You have to have all this planned out before you start this. So then you get in between, well, which one do I listen to? So the way I started figuring it out, I was like, well, which one is more successful about where I want to be? And it turns out the ones that are, just start it, go and figure it out, are more successful, at least on the surface, it seems, have more money, have more, business, have not maybe not more experience, but are more successful in what they're doing than the ones who were saying, no, 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 you have to have this and this and this and this and this arranged before you do this. So I've had to allow myself to be open to listening to different points of view
Mm-hmm.
and pull a little from this one, pull a little from that one.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of hard to still get out of that, the conditioning, like we called it. Okay, well, no, but you have to do this and you need to do this. Because my dad was an entrepreneur. He was in real estate.
But hold
But
on,
it was a
Cynthia, I got to stop you for a second because I don't necessarily agree that the ones that have broken the mold are more successful, because I think that maybe some that had that mold of, I think that the mindset has changed. I don't necessarily think that one is more successful from the other. I think the mindset has changed. The marketing vehicles has changed. The way the audience looks at things has changed. So now I think scaling is much faster because we have things like social media that didn't exist before. Because if we go back to like however many years ago, imagine if we had social media and it was what's it called? Black Wall Street, and we had social media out here in Canada, we would have been like, hell, we coming over, or we're building too, or how do we build, or let's get on a Zoom, right? So I feel like with the times changing, it seems like so the dollar value has changed. So yes, there is more currency and more value in the dollar today, but the dollar back then, like that method worked for that time frame. And I feel like this method works for this time frame. And some people in this time frame are still using a lot of old school methods, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
What resonates with you, right?
Yeah. Because the two guys that I've been, they have a podcast together. I'm not going to say it because
why not?
I don't want to say their name
because what I'm
about to say is going to go against everything, because they're the ones that say, and you have to have this and this and this and this and this plan. Well, they're a little older than the ones who are now saying, well, no, just figure it out and work. They're around my age, and they've been in business maybe more than 10 years or whatever, but they're the plan it all out. Whereas, and then I've got, these over here, well, no, just figure it out. But they all came around, started their entrepreneurship journey around the same time.
Right.
It's just that they started in their 40s. These are starting in their 20s and 30s. And these in their 20s and 30s are, I'm not going to say further along because the industries are different.
Yeah.
But they just figured it out and went for it. You're still planning. They're just going for it.
Yeah.
I think that's the big piece about it that you're doing. And I think that's an amazing thing, Cynthia, because you're taking two different ends of the spectrum and then you're using your own personal discernment to vet which way you feel led to do. And I think as entrepreneurs, like you said, you're at this point becoming an entrepreneur. I'm going to be 100% honest. Back in the day, I wasn't interested in entrepreneurship. I wanted to work a job, so I knew I guaranteed had money. Entrepreneurship wasn't a guarantee to having money. Now that I am more awake and I understand the benefits of entrepreneurship, there's no ceiling for me when I create my own stuff and I am an entrepreneur. I am the business owner, or I own several businesses versus I go work a job and I only can go but so far, So I think the fact that you're using discernment to vet which way you want to go, I think that's a beautiful thing, because every entrepreneurship's journey is different, But I would just have to say, for me, I think there was a podcast or episode for Nikki and Moose, and they were really talking about being careful that you're ready to, like you said, Shereen, scale. Because if you're not ready and you don't have at least the systems in place, when it happens and you all of a sudden go viral, you now can't even handle the demand that you have because you went too fast, that you weren't able to prepare for the success that comes. So I feel like if you use that discernment, you should be able to steadily do what you need to do. But to bring it back to vulnerability, it's harder to show up in a business or in an entrepreneurship space when you have no idea how to be an entrepreneur. You're taking all of these different things in from very successful people to the point where it's an overload of information, and you get all of this information. You're not quite sure exactly what to do. But then again, what did we say earlier? You don't know who you are. So if you're unable to answer the questions that they're giving you to prompt you into whatever direction it is, it's kind of like you're about to set yourself up to just be any and everything. So I think it comes back into saying, hey, where are you with all of this information? Have you processed it? Have you taken it in enough to be able to say, hey, this is how I want to move forward with what it is that I've learned? So it's just kind of like trusting yourself. And it's hard to trust yourself when yourself has never been able to be successful on an entrepreneurship level, especially when you're saying there's so many things that continues to change the game every day for entrepreneurs in this social media.
But I think it's also a process, right? Because so I do think you hit it, like, even with all this information, how do we want to show up? How do we want to authentically come out the gate? And when you have all this information, plus you see other social media that maybe you're just watching, so you're still taking it in. You're like, oh, well, maybe I do a little bit of this, and I do a little bit of this, and I do a little bit of this. But yet maybe you still are not fully, for me, I can say that's kind of how my journey has been. Do a little this. Okay, it seems like you do this on social media. Okay, it seems like you do this, to the point where it started causing me social anxiety, right? Where it's just easier to kind of stay off of it, right? Or hire someone to do it. And so I could say, well, wait a minute, that's not necessarily the voice of the brand, but still be a little too afraid to be the voice of the brand, right? So I kind of lost my train of thought, but I was saying, like, it's a process. So you might start one way like that, and then start going, wait a minute, this doesn't actually feel like I want to do it. So let me try this way, and let me try it this way. And then you might change altogether until you finally get where you feel you need to be. And I do think we have to go through that growth a bit.
That's the part of vulnerability that you have to become in the public eye. Because when you start changing, it's like, what are they going to think about me? I just did a pivot. I'm no longer advocating what I just said I was doing a month ago. I'm now switching it and looking at, are they going to still follow me? Are they going to be consistent with me? And it's like, well, this isn't about them. It's about you and how you plan to show up and serve. So just by you saying that, my coach, Jonathan Jones, says that all the time. He's like, don't get attached to what you're trying to do right now, because it might change over time. And you got to want to be able to pivot and be flexible with what might change over time. But look at us. We've changed over time, from hair color to interest. So it's just I'm just being honest. No tips, you know? So it's kind of like, if we're going to be in a space of being an entrepreneur, we have to be comfortable with that vulnerability to know that things can change. Because we see corporate things change, so we can't allow that to make us hesitant with moving forward. Like you said, embracing the process, embracing the journey.
But hold on, I'm going to challenge you. I'll challenge both of you. But how do you get comfortable? Because there's a lot of some of these things are so easy to say, and I am listening to them, and I'm even saying them, and I know I'm not living them. Like, I had a girl in the chat call me out for not tagging her on a video or not putting her in a video. But I already made another video of this girl. I'm not going to drop no names. Starts with a J. And
don't do me.
But
I missed that one.
Yeah, it's Jovonnie. The girl
I was excited. I was seeing all her footage. I was like, oh my God, I didn't make the video, because it was so good.
Did. So she made the second video, and here I am in my head. So I haven't dropped the second video, right? And it has nothing to do with anybody else but this person. So when we talk about being comfortable, like, one of the things I want to post on my business page, the blackprint page, because blackprint, we talk about businesses, right? Is that I dyed my hair for the summit, and my locks are falling.
Oh, no.
My locks are falling out, right? So, like, little locks, not full locks, just like ends are falling
on the ends.
Out. And so talk about being vulnerable, but it's kind of a good thing, and it's not a good thing. I love you, babies. It's not a good thing. The thing that I could do though, from a marketing aspect, is be like, which I have done, is like reach out to vendors and be like, what up, homie? What should I use to repair my babies? Right. And a lot of times now you'll see a hat on, because I'm not trying to twist my locks or anything while I'm just trying to let them heal. But even talking about that story, my whole idea from last week was, okay, take a pic of yourself looking great, great, great. And when people swipe, they'll see my babies, my little babies that have dropped. And I can start telling the story and say which brands I've bought or which brands I've been talking to, and be a little bit vulnerable. But again, the plan is there, the concept is there. I'm still kind of a little terrified about being vulnerable. I could tell you ladies, this is going to go on YouTube, but you know what I mean? So the goal was to drop that video today, or to drop a post today to talk about that, right? And then talk about Black-owned brands.
Achieve irresistibly soft and hydrated skin with a Honam sugar scrub. Whether it's lemon, turmeric, or lime, polish away dead, dull, dry skin, lift dirt, and stimulate a natural, healthy glow. Then simply moisturize with Honam shea butter to reduce blemishes and marks. Love your Honam. Shop blackprint.com.
So I go back to my question. What suggestions would you say that you could use to get comfortable with being vulnerable? And I would love if you feel comfortable sharing a vulnerable moment of yourself that you've gone through in starting, or whatever it is in your business journey.
Well, I'll tell you, with me, and I'm gonna say one thing to you. Just think of it as you're shedding old skin. There we go.
Oh, girl, you're right. I'm trying to get to like here, and I'm like, but baby, like
That's
what?
okay. It'll come. It'll come.
I would just moisturize, because it looks like we're all locks here, so we all locked.
Yeah.
So I would just say, for overly crazy,
Make you some rose water.
Oh, I have all the fixings, and
Now make your own. Make sure. Now I'm going to tell you, with the rose water, they have the kind you can buy in the store. But look, go get you some distilled water, and go get you some organic roses. Wash those roses, boil them in the distilled water till the color's out of them, and just spray that on your hair every day. That's what I do.
There you go.
Okay.
And that keeps the moisture in your hair, and roses helps condition it. And if you have roses left over, get you some of the jojoba oil and boil them in that, and squeeze it out, and mix that with your rose water, and then you got rose water oil. And
now, if I go and do all that work, half the vendors that I'm trying to work with be like, "Why'd you do all that? Now we ain't coming on your site." No,
because guess what?
We
you don't gotta tell them you doing all of that. You just trying to keep your baby surviving until the vendors pull up.
Until the vendors get there. Right.
I put in a couple of orders.
There you go.
So yeah,
you put in a little something. I'm just using this to hold me over until y'all get to me.
There you go.
You all get a little promo, but we just trying to stop the madness.
There you go.
But let's not.
But
deflect. Let's get back on the question.
So
you two ladies,
I will tell you. Okay, so when I first started my entrepreneurship journey, it had nothing to do with Sports Cynts. My business was going to be Coleman Creations, or whatever other name I could come up with, since so many people use that. I make wedding party invitations, stuff like that, stationary table decor. That's what my business was when I first started the morning meetup.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, you know how they say you know what your passion is because you can feel it? I know how to do that, and I'm great at doing it. Invitation things that I've made are beautiful, wonderful, never had anybody upset with it. But I was always afraid to put it out because there's these big companies that do things like that. Now, theirs weren't customized to the level that mine are. And I was like, I like doing this. And, somebody said, that's a $10,000 a month business. That's great. But how much work am I going to have to do because I do them all by hand. And I was like, and I'm like, I said, okay, let's go ahead and do that. But I always knew I wanted to talk sports. What I had to do, I'm that person. I have a whole list of 7 companies that I want to start. None of them have anything to do with the other.
But I
One
feel
of them
creative
even
people are like that, though.
involves my dog. Right. And that's what somebody said. And I keep hearing Dave say, you got to give something up. You're
Yeah.
going to, you can't do them all. And I had a business coach. She was like, oh, she said, we've got a list of all of them. Let's start with this one. And for a while, I was still trying to do the invitations, but I'm like, I still want to do my podcast. So I had to get myself in my head. It's like, Cynthia, you can't do all of them because if you do, something's going to get, neglected.
Yeah.
Something's going to get put on the back burner. Which one means the most to you? Which one are you the most passionate about? I can talk sports all day, every day.
The only thing I think you should do, Cynthia, is maybe create like a sports card to give people. That way it's related. Maybe.
Not a bad idea.
That is a good way to
Yeah.
divisions
There's your
together.
sports birthday
Well,
card. There's
now
your
here's
sports
where
whatever.
Here's where I channeled my creativity with the sports because I love making stuff. I have a whole 2 craft rooms in my house where I've got craft supplies. I could probably open up a craft supply store.
Stay focused.
Yes.
My bracelet.
Nice.
This bracelet I made has all the little sports balls on it. This one matches, my colors. And then that's just another accessory. But my earrings, I made those. So I'm like, I'll do that. And part of my creativity, I designed an apron. Because my
Wait, did you say an apron?
She did.
Oh, I designed an apron.
I designed an apron where it's got ribbons on it that have, sports balls and stuff on it. And I'm sorry, that was my food alarm telling me I need to be eating.
I didn't hear anything,
anyway.
But I am hungry.
Okay. Well, no, it went off and my camera went blank for a minute. But so I've decided that part of what I'm going to do with my podcast, because they also need a product to sell. I don't have a product to sell for my podcast, but I have this apron I designed.
Because it sounds like you do. It sounds like you have an
Right.
apron.
So the apron,
like have cards, and that shirt you're wearing.
Come on, that's merch already.
Now this I bought from another company. Yeah, I love that shirt.
I love these shirts.
I love that shirt.
So you need to get that on the site so I can buy one.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I got this from another company that I had them make for me. This is what they do. That's what this company does, and it's amazing. I'll probably order a couple more because I love it, and I'll see if maybe I can partner with them. But I had to find a way to make what I love to do go along with what I'm really passionate about. So that's what I had to do. But I know I can't do it all at once. I got to get the podcast going, get the words out.
Wait, Cynthia, I have to stop you. I'm going to keep cutting in. Where's the vulnerability? Tell me where the vulnerability moment
The vulnerability is knowing that I can't do it all by myself. I'm going to have to at some point, and I'm not going to say I'm a control freak, but I know how I like things done. So when I get to that point, I'm going to have somebody else help me make whatever I'm doing. I'm going to have to train somebody. And my vulnerability is that I don't want to put something out there, or not even that. I don't want there to be for somebody to come back and criticize it. Say, oh, that's not as cute as I thought it was going to be. Because, mind you, I'm as mild-mannered as I can be.
Until
criticize my stuff, you might catch his hands. No, I'm kidding. But the vulnerability is putting what I think is beautiful, what family and friends have said are beautiful, out to the public for the chance for it to be criticized. And that was my main thing with my Coleman Creations. There's all these companies that do invitations. And, mind you, they're templates and, they can do thousands at a time. For me to do 1,000 invitations, I'm going to need a couple of weeks because I'm doing them all by hand. And I started thinking to myself, what if it's not good enough? What if I put it out there and if somebody says, oh, well, I could have got that so-and-so here for this price. So, and that's always been a big thing. Even with my podcast, I told you I have an episode I recorded for a month. I'm trying to make sure this thing is perfect. And now I'm like, oh, but wait, what if it's not good enough? But I thought, oh, no.
But good enough to who? Because here's the question.
Good enough to someone else. Let's say like somebody who's been in the business 30 years. If
you love it, I don't care about those people. If
right,
you
and
love
that's where I'm getting to now because yesterday at our podcast party we had with somebody's like, you're a really interesting person. You can talk about this stuff all day. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I can talk about this stuff all day, and I know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, we're gonna release that podcast episode. Matter of fact, we're gonna record a couple more to go with it. So that just like you said, how many do you have in the bank? Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about these sports. I'm gonna talk about what I want to talk about because it's my podcast. If I'm the only one that hears it, then that's the rest of the world missing out.
Yeah, I think that's the mindset you got to stay with, though.
Right. So I had to get out of my own
talk about this
way.
thing all day. Right. You can talk about this all day. If you can talk about it all day, then challenge yourself to talk about it every single day.
Just turn your camera on
and just talk about it.
But then, Jovonnie, while you give that advice, Jovonnie,
I think that you said, how do you get comfortable? And I just kind of want to challenge you to tell you that if you're comfortable, then you're not open to change and you're not growing. So I think the goal isn't to be comfortable.
Wait, I have to write that one down. I got to write that one down.
The goal is to lean in the discomfort and the unfamiliar so you consistently continue to evolve. Everybody that we talk to or that we heard at the podcast summit or that comes up before us in the morning meetup, none of them have said, I'm sitting back and I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? They're still giving out game. They're still working. They're still growing. They're still going. And then they're telling us where they kind of messed up to help us and elevate us. But at the end of the day, they're not even sitting back and chilling. They up just like we up early in the morning to talk to people to elevate them as well. So I feel like the goal isn't to be comfortable. The goal is to lean in the discomfort and get excited about it so you can grow. So I think that's our challenge because we're looking for comfortability within this new space that we're in because we want something to feel familiar. We want something to hold us together because like me and Cynthia, we grew up looking for validation. So we want approval immediately once we put something out there. And if it's not, it's kind of like, well, dang, what I got to do to please you? But at the end of the day, I just want to challenge us all that whoever is for us are going to be listening to us, tuned in.
Start your morning with a delicious, gentle, natural cleanse. Encourage movement, release gas, and remove toxins as you revive your body for the day. Looking to release water weight and kickstart a healthier journey? Try botanically blended Gentle Ease Digestive Tea. Shop now on blackprint.com.
To us, constantly coming back to subscribe for us, just like we do the same thing for other people. No one has to come and tell us that we only listen to people that got a blue check. You know what I mean? No one says we can't hit follow or subscribe on YouTube if we've never seen them before. No, we like the content or we have some type of connection to it. People are going to be there with us. I got 52 or 53 followers on YouTube, and they're all not my family and friends. You know what I'm saying? So there's some random people out in the world that connected to a quick video of some sort that hit subscribe for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And we got billions of people in the world, right? So it's just kind of like, let's not focus on the comfort. Let's really just focus on our mission, our purpose, what it is that we're so passionate about. So we get out of our way and make room for whoever it is that want to hear us. And if nobody want to hear us for a year, we're going to keep talking because that's content that's going out there. Because what do we know? Content is king. So we record it and we put it out there. It's going to make us some money. If not this year,
okay, Miss Queen, content queen. Hold on, content queen. Because now we're going to
But I ain't putting nothing out there because
we're going to point our fingers to you. Is your podcast out? Because you're giving a lot of gems out there.
That's why I'm in a
I'm writing down everything you're saying. And now I'm like... Wait. First of all, no. Dave said, don't let them finish. Cut them off. Don't let them finish.
I am doing a clarity cleanse because I'm trying to get out my own way so I can get comfortable and listen to my voice. Like I said earlier, we got to make that connection. So I'm trying to connect on the inside so that way I know what I'm really passionate about. Like Cynthia said, I don't know what I can sit down and talk about every single day. I know what I've gone through health-wise, and I know I'm inspired and excited to help other people make shifts and manage their symptoms, but I don't know exactly what that looks like for them.
But why not just start? Because
I have.
No. Oh, I'm sorry.
I started, but I don't have the psychology of sales. I had one call during the podcast summit, day one of the podcast summit. I had a call, I talked, they seemed excited about it. Didn't do the intake form. So it was like, well, maybe you didn't say the right thing. And it's just like, maybe I didn't, but guess what? maybe I'm not ready yet. You know what I'm talking about? We talked about that ladder of being ready when you scale. So when you get that first client, you got to know exactly what you're putting out there with the client. If I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm putting out there, am I really ready? But sometimes you'll get ready when the time comes, because if she would have said I'm down, then I would have been on that call, ready to rock and roll. Whatever way I'm here to help you, we about to make this transformation.
Hold on. Sorry, go back a bit. So
backing
on
it
which
up.
call is it? Yeah, let's back up. Yeah, back that shit up. Okay, you backed enough, girl. You backed it up. No. Let's go back a minute, because you're talking about and I'm going to use Dave as an example, where he didn't have a name for his podcast, but he kept going. So all at the beginning of those podcasts talk about, I don't have a name, but we're going to get into this conversation, right? And so you just talked about she didn't fill out that intake form. Are you talking about after the conversation to like, okay, so forget, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your podcast. Is your podcast up and running? What do you think I was talking about?
I was talking about my program, because your podcast is supposed to be able to promote your business. So
well, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Understood.
It could be two ways. It could be you're promoting the convo, right? Because and like, it could be that you're promoting the convo. She's coming back. Sorry, it could be that you're promoting a product, or your podcast is a part of that conversation, right? So if you're still talking about healing in whatever form with either your journey, or you're bringing folks on and they're talking about their journey and you're talking about healing, you're still building that audience, right? And then that might actually transfer into the business aspect, right? So your podcast might actually be a part of your foundation.
Which is why I'm trying to lean into it and do something different.
All right, you're right. I hear you.
You're right.
I'll say the one thing I've learned throughout this whole process, and it's funny because I used it when I went to the weight room yesterday, when I went to went to the gym yesterday to work out, get the muscles going.
You go, girl.
I got to a point to where I was lifting and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm tired. And I had to keep saying, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Girl, let me write that down.
I think I don't know if I heard that from David, or I think I heard that from E.T., from Eric Thomas, because he's who I listen to when I work out. That's my workout. Actually, yesterday it was Renaissance Beyonce, but normally it's E.T. And because he's my, that person in my ear, whereas since I don't have a personal trainer there with me, his speeches, the things he says motivates us. So when he said, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, I'm like, okay, yeah, if I'm give up lifting this, heavy, I know it's heavy and I know I'm tired, but if I don't, the muscles aren't going to change if I don't work to make them change.
Agreed.
That's how I started.
Right. You see what you just did there? You went to the gym and you was getting in the reps, because if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So you can get the reps in the gym, but you're not putting that camera on and getting that Sports Cynts on it.
Right.
There you go.
And I want to
picking up what I'm putting down.
I'm picking it up and putting it back down, and picking it up and hanging on to it. But and that's where I've had to. That's where, and actually yesterday that was a big turning point for me. When I was on my way to the podcast party, and even on my way home, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I'm gonna tell you, I got home last night. I was tired, but I was still cute. Had on my jersey, had my makeup. I was like, you know what? We're gonna record an episode.
Girl,
I was too tired. My brain was like, okay, it's past the bedtime.
E.T.
Wait. Do you know
E.T. took a nap yesterday afternoon. I didn't.
No, hold on. E.T. has an album that I've been listening to since I left the podcast. I'm trying to see what the name of that album is. You need to listen to the Stay Ready or Dominate.
He's got a few. He's got a few. Right? And again, he's somebody I had never heard about him before last year. So I've got years. I know people keep saying that I had never heard of him. I'm not
judging you, girl. Don't worry.
I'm not.
And I lived in Atlanta for 23 years, and I had never heard of him.
You didn't hear E.T.?
I had never heard of David Shands before October. I had never heard of E.T. I had never heard of EYL. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be honest with you. Up until the podcast summit, I thought E.T. was part of EYL. So
you thought he was the E.
Clearly.
That's okay. That's okay.
And that's okay.
Right.
I
But
knew
at the
stuff
same
for
time,
Earn Your Leisure, but I thought it was kind of cute. Oh, he named us. We got his own podcast named after him. So, yeah.
if you're
But
not the only one, if you're thinking it, trust me, you're not the only one. So
right. So now I'm coming into hearing all these, and on Apple, they all have their recordings on Apple. E.T., Nehemiah Davis, Justin Owens. So I've got this playlist I created called CEO Blessings,
yeah.
and I've got their speeches mixed in with a little uplifting gospel music. So, and I just put it on shuffle, and it
I got a
plays, and
question for you, Cynthia.
I can
Yeah.
work out for 30
Are
days and not get
you
the same thing
ready?
twice.
Are you ready to have your own playlist just like them on
Jovonnie,
Apple?
first of all, Jovonnie, you
Are
got the
you
voice.
ready?
You got,
Are you
are you
ready?
ready, Jovonnie? Because I
Are
was like,
you ready?
Let me stop the dogs from barking.
I
Hold on.
don't have the playlist and seen it. I'm just saying, are
no,
you
but
ready?
you
When
have
she in the gym, you know what they playing in the gym, Shereen? On the TVs. What's they playing in the gym?
Yeah, I
I
have
don't pay
Nothing
attention
but
to
some
what?
that.
some
I don't
off the wall music you don't even
I
pay
don't pay
attention
attention
to.
to that. I have my
No,
headphones
on the
on.
TV. In the
I know I
gym, on the
see
TV.
it, but like,
Oh,
It's
they have.
nothing but sports channels,
oh
Oh no, see,
highlights
mine has
all
news, sports,
day.
sitcoms,
yeah, news,
everything.
sports,
All
Yeah,
but
day. So
sports
she's
is up
looking at
there.
the news.
right.
She can leave the gym and talk about whatever was just a highlight on the news right there. Be
You can
controversial.
even
Tap
have
in.
like a quick snippet. Like
That's
I just
it.
came
Well,
off the
now
A
that is
treadmill,
short.
and
now I'm going to tell you that is part of my thing. I am going to have
snippet.
shorts, and I've
Yeah,
been
That's
talking
it
to a
right there.
videographer. We're going to actually hit the streets, and I'm just going to be out. And I got this idea from listening to from Dave on one of his morning meetups, and he was talking about ideas for things. And one thing I asked, I said, well, I typed it in the chat, asked a question. He said, what would you just ask people? And I was like, my question would be, are you where you thought you would be in your life?
hmm
So I talked to my son's best friend is a videographer, and he does great work. So I sent him a message today. I said, look, I don't know if you're available this Saturday after I get my hair done. I want to just hit the streets, and I just want to. And I told him what I want to do. I haven't heard back from him yet. He's probably like,
but
your mom
Cynthia,
is crazy.
get yourself a backup so you're not dependent on just that one, just in case he's not
Oh yeah,
available. So
because
you
if not,
get out there.
I'm gonna drag my son if nothing else. Or I got a selfie stick right here. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, are you where you want to be in your life? And I said, I'm gonna do that. I said, and I'll figure out a way to tie it into sports or not or whatever. I said, but I I'm at the point now. I'm like, look, we can talk about it or we can be about it. It's like it's time to be about it. So if
yeah.
we're about to be about it, I'm gonna tell y'all gonna be sick of me. Dave at some point is gonna be like, oh my God, not her again. Cynthia, no, no. And one of my goals is to get Dave on my podcast. He's not a sports fan. And he and I already talked about that. I think was on one of his podcast things that we did. But where we interviewed him on the challenge. That's what it was on the challenge.
I
But
remember.
I'm working on Dave. We're gonna talk sports. And this
So
will either be
I'm
on
gonna
his podcast or mine.
right. So we're coming up to almost an hour on this chat.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a great talk. We've talked about where we believe the root is actually stemming from, right? The process, what we want to do. So here is my question for you ladies. We are August the 14th. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Cynthia said something about last week. And when you said it, I was like, I better do that because I've been saying it to myself for weeks. So here's the question. You probably already know where we're going with this. What, pray tell, what will be that next vulnerable moment that you will do in your business? Jovonnie?
Make a decision on the direction for my podcast and just go with it. Just go with it. Stop overthinking it. Stop trying to live up to the expectations and the different unique ways that people are already kind of out here putting out their podcasts. Really take this week to connect internally for myself and really just figure out what it is that I really want to do and just go with it. Just commit to it and just go with it. If not 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, just commit to it until there's this big shift inside of myself or through my mentor that says, hey, let's take a minute, let's pivot. This is really hitting. Let's lean more into this area than that. So I'm going to have to say, make a decision and just stick with it.
I love it. I love it. Cynthia?
Just pull the trigger and post the episodes. Just do it. I'm still determined to do it tomorrow. Just do it. I don't have captions. I don't. I know I'm gonna have to do it. I have Canva. I can do it. So just post the episode. If I have to record another one after we finish here tonight, just post the episode. It's only 8:15. I'm good. Just post the episode. I gotta get one out there.
Yeah.
Once I get one, then I'll be ready to go.
And you don't have to have captions to post. You can post.
Well, no, not so much captions, a title. So, what is it? But one thing I'm going to see if I can do this, because if you watched my reel with me advertising my podcast from a month ago, I created this awesome reel. And the song I use, I've been singing that song for Game Time by Flo Rida. I'm going to try to get in touch with him like, dude, I need your song for my podcast permanently. I don't know. He'll have to talk to, but
you just need to have that bank, but we're not questioning if you have it or not. You just need to have that bank so you can pay him. But
and if it's him, I have to pay it. Maybe the record company or somebody else I have to bribe.
Royalties, honey. Somebody wants their royalties. So.
Or barter. I'll barter. Like, look, I will put your ad on my podcast if I can use this song. So yeah.
All right. Okay.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Okay. For me, I guess, so I have some YouTube videos, and I don't know if we're all following. Well, no, Cynthia, I think we're following each other now. Jovonnie, I don't think I'm following your YouTube. Don't give me that look. I don't think you're following my YouTube. Cynthia, you know what, Jovonnie, I don't think you're following Cynthia's YouTube. Right? Give her the look.
Are
Cynthia.
You following me on IG?
Right. Yes. Well, hold on, Cynthia. Well, we'll talk about that.
So, is this how we really doing this, guys?
No.
Is this how we really doing this?
And we ain't editing this shit.
But I do need to post more on YouTube. I really liked YouTube at the beginning. I really wasn't a fan of Instagram. And they get in your head with all of this algorithm. And I think I just got so into, okay, well, let me just hurry up and post something. Let me try to figure out titles. Let me do hashtags.
With intention, though.
There you go. Now, that's not what they were saying at the beginning. Now, after I listened to the Nikki and Moose snippet that they talked about in regards to Wall Street Trapper and his content at the beginning, the goal is with social media, you should still have, no pun, Cynthia, a business plan for the content on social media, because everything is still a transaction. If not, you'll be moving too fast and you're not going to be ready for what it is that you need. So that is another reason why I'm doing my clarity cleanse and I'm sticking it with the raw food so I can really start getting into what it is that I want to do for me. So I have intention every single time I post, and there's an actual call to action. You know what I mean? And people understand what I'm doing, and they just don't see me having fun with food because I'm a foodie.
Right.
You get it?
Yeah. So I would just say, for me, I was thinking about, I have this thing, and I think I heard it on somebody's podcast, and it might have been Donnie and Dave talking about it. I don't remember. But, when you want to talk about more things, but yet you just, you don't know if people, we just talked about the people pleasing shit. But if people will, we just talked about that. So I want to do a couple of things. One of the things I want to do is I kind of want to have a different, maybe TikTok page that's separate from the business, where I show the journey of building out the business. So where I basically say, all right, I'm about to book my ticket for New York in September. I'm booking these podcasts, people who own their businesses, but I'm also booking these brands to jump on the website and just kind of talk about that journey. I don't know if people even want to see that shit.
Quick question. Do you have a community?
I have a small community on.
Do you want to have a community though? You're trying to grow a community, or is that not in your plan?
So no, community is actually one of our taglines within our business, right? Commerce, community.
So I think that's a great avenue. Like I said, I watched the Nikki and Moose video on that. That's a great avenue. That's another free, but it's a value add to people who are in your community. Get that behind the scenes footage of everything that you just said you want to do. That's a different channel. Instead of creating like a newsletter, you have this free value add once they come into your community that still keeps them into the know and what you're doing. but everybody doesn't get that opportunity to see all of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
but if I haven't built that community, I can't exactly have like, I thought about that too, because then I thought, oh, if I release something, right? Like, oh, today I was looking up flights and stuff, and I'm like, okay, so how do I get to New York and then take a mega bus to like Philly? And so I would book the Philly one at like 1 a.m., go see Samut and come back, make my flight, and like the madness of the journey. But like, if I don't have that community already, who the hell's watching that? Right.
I
And
thought
I
you just
can't
told me
exactly
you
make
had a
it
small
closed
community.
off. Sorry, go ahead, hon.
I thought you had a community though. I thought you said you had a
No,
small.
but still, so now I'm being intentional so that I'm not mixing. On the business pages should only be the business to a
Right.
degree, right?
Mhm.
And then if I'm talking about, I have my personal page, I guess I could put it on my personal. I don't have a personal TikTok, but like, so it's about deciphering where I want to be vulnerable. Because I don't feel like my personal vulnerability should be a part of the business part. I feel like the business should just be about promoting these great brands, talking about the podcast, and then, you know, if you want to head over and see what the Trini Project is doing, well, she's being mad at 1 o'clock trying to catch this mega bus and catch the flight back to Toronto. So like those things. But yeah, vulnerability is just figuring that piece out, but being intentional about it.
That's the big thing. Intentional and attention, right?
Yes, 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 yes. And that was the word, right?
That was the word. It was intention and it was attention.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So what we give our attention to. So we're giving our attention to our procrastination or our indecisiveness or our hesitation or our lack of pushing forward, then that's what's going to get our attention. But if we have more vibes, shout out to Forward Vibrations and Voices and Vibes, when we have more vibes where we're getting to this thing together and we are eliminating limiting beliefs and helping each other see that it's so easy just to kind of keep it simple and just do it. Like we said, no fun to Nike because they're not sponsoring the three of us and should be getting in on Sports Cynts. But
right.
Know, I'm just trying to tell you, we just need to do it. And I think we just need to keep that kiss very simple, you know, keep it simple, sis. And let's just go out here and do the doggone thing. Lean into the discomfort. Knowing that entrepreneurship is the only way to go when we don't have a what?
A roof. But we do need some employees. So some of them just need to keep that roof.
Keep that roof.
We're not talking about them. We're talking about the entrepreneurs right now.
Well, ladies, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, Cynthia. Sorry, hon.
Oh, no, I was going to say thank you. This was fun. And remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Ooh. Parting words. Ladies, I thank you so much for just bringing the energy, bringing the vibes, and being authentically you. This has been another great episode. Oh, my phone is ringing. Of course, my phone's going to ring in the middle of us closing it out.
I just wanted to drop. Can I drop?
I had to hit ignore on her real fast. Oh, sorry.
Can I
go
drop
ahead.
something real quick before you leave?
Sure.
So I just want to give this to us because I feel like we all can use this. So shout out to Coach Lucky with the Saturday mindset. But I just want to leave y'all with a state of mind affirmation. Remember, I am clear. I have the ability to always make good decisions. I have everything I need to obtain success. Who I am is needed to help others heal. Behavior will flow from my state of mind. So never forget your state of mind and the power that you all have. Let's continue to elevate and encourage each other as we continue on this entrepreneurship journey. Thank you, Voices and Vibes, for having Forward Vibrations. And please be on the lookout for Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Vulnerability is simply just being yourself and showing up as your authentic self. So we appreciate these genuine spaces just for us. So salute to you, Queen.
Thank you. And you know what, Cynthia, I'd love you to give your own parting words of whatever you want to say, but also just shouting out where people can find you.
I'm Cynthia at Sports Cynts. You'll be able to find me on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, IG, all this Sports Cynts. And one thing I want to say is what I always say at the end of my show. Let your presence be a blessing to others. I love y'all. All y'all.
Thank you. Jovonnie, you gave out your handles, right?
I'm at IG. _vibrations, _vibrations. And then my podcast Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives, all together one word. And on YouTube, it's Forward Vibrations 2347. Connect
Awesome.
with me, flow with me, vibe with me. Let's have some delicious dialogue.
Okay, well, thank you, ladies, for joining another episode of Voices and Vibes, where it's always where we amplify voices and it's always a vibe. All right, ladies, have yourself a great night.